Airing live from the Performance Centre, NXT delivered an edition of the show that included championship matches and potential feud-ending collisions. Grayson Waller fought Cruz Montana to determine the number one contender for Tony D'Angelo's NXT Championship, and Thiago and Sugars faced Deon Lennox one-on-one. We also got several other title matches, but we started things off with Izzy Dame and Nico Vance taking on Lizzie Rain and Nico Prosper. Lizzie could not find Spears as the match began, leaving her to fight alone. After overwhelming Izzy early with her aggressive strikes, Nico tags in. Prosper arrived to join Lizzie and help her fight the mixed match. The two hit simultaneous machine gun chops and tornado DDTs to gain some confidence until Izzy sent Lizzie into the sets going into the break. Lizzie continues to cause problems for Izzy while Nico had the power edge on Prosper. Izzy nearly took the win and Lizzie tried Thunderstruck on Nico only to get tossed out with an Izzy powerbomb. Lizzie finally got her Thunderstruck in on Nico to set up a moonsault by Prosper for the win. While NXT's featured Lizzie so far prominently, it may be going under the radar for those not watching truly how good she is. This is a great showcase of her talent as she out-wrestled everyone in this match and set a different tone for action. While her talent's undeniable, it's odd for her to win over the established team of Lizzie and Nico with a last-minute partner. A great chance to further solidify the culling as a threat. Instead, it made them look like jokes in a rivalry that should see them leading at this stage. If the goal is to make something of Izzy and Nico, who still look too green for their years in NXT, they need to at least look dangerous. No Spears appearing at all was also a surprise, though it does further play into the chairman saying no one should trust him. So yeah, that's intriguing, but I'll give it overall 6 out of 10. Hallie Armstrong then headed to the ring to call out Kendall Gray, but Kalani Jordan interrupts to call her shot instead. Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair arrived with a contract. Gray handed the contract to Lani, who agreed to fight the women's champion at Heatwave. Carly was not happy with the agreement and started a brawl where Carly and Lenny stood a tall over Gray and Sinclair. It's a wonder for Lani's whole time in NXT. This will be her first opportunity at the women's belt. She and Gray have proved their chemistry multiple times over, so it's likely they will have match of the night at Heatwave. While the booking is strong, the segment did fall into a familiar trope, and Jordan often suffers in the mic. Carly's inclusion was interesting though. She's trying to make the best of and fast track her to the main event. She and Lani could be an interesting team. Perhaps that team could be the answer to finally getting Jordan to the main roster, since most of her peers have passed her by at this point. We then got Sugars versus Lennox, and yeah, Sugars came to this match stringing, but James and Griffin quickly got involved, distracting him. While Sugars tried to use his bat against Darkseid, Lennox ripped it away from him. As the ref was distracted with Lennox, James and Griffin tossed him onto the announce table. Back in the ring, Lennox finished off Sugars with a suplex powerbomb for the victory. An oddly rushed match that didn't accomplish much, despite Lennox getting his win back against Sugars. If anything, is further sold that NXT does not have enough faith in Lennox, as the Darkseid needed to be a real big match performer. Sugars will eventually find some more friends. Again, this is not a match that looks good enough for a third act right now. There's hope always that the two can use the PC to refine their craft and deliver their best match when it matters most. At this point, best hope though is simply that it ends soon, so both men can move on to opponents that they can work better with. So I'll go at 4 out of 10. We then got our next match, which was the North American Championship between Ren Sinclair and Zarya, and Sinclair walked in a bit banged up and was quickly overwhelmed by the power of Zarya, who almost took the A-win with a pump kick. Sinclair fought back and took down her with the floor with a baseball slide into the picture-in-picture. Every time the Women's Speed Champion tried to rally though, the power of Zarya was too much for Sinclair to handle. After a spear, Lennox and Sugars brawled out through the ring before Zarya finished the job on F5. Unsurprisingly, this is significantly better than last week's Speed match, going far past the 5-minute limit of the contest. These two delivered hard-hitting offense though, and maximised their minutes to deliver a contest that felt two top stars colliding. The ending was a downer, as there's never a reason to separate men's angles to interrupt a women's match. Since NXT keeps the division separate, this just comes off as NXT saying Darkseid's more important. Despite the presentation, Zarya's title reign is significantly better than anything Darkseid's done. She deserved a clean finish for her latest defence. It's not as if Sinclair was close to beating Zarya anyway, so this should be the end of this rivalry. Every woman should be looking to step up. So yeah, overall I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. We then got Mason Rook versus Cam Hendrick, and Rook tossed him out of the ring early, but the explosive offense of Hendrick allowed him to quickly respond, especially with an impressive running clothesline. Rook's own explosive offense, though, helped him fire back, tossing around Hendrick with ease. However, Hendrick exposed the turnbuckle and sent Rook into it on a corner Death Valley drive with a attempt followed by a Showtime kick for win. While Rook's unique figure has led him to internet discourse, he remains one of the most impressive athletes in NXT. His stamina and explosiveness are unmatched, especially against his rival. Timing energy and over-pushing NXT has not made Hendrick a better wrestler or character. His shtick is annoying and his in-ring work is stilting. Even if the plan is to slowly build up Rook over time, this was not a loss Rook needed to take. Even if just the character Hendricks could use some humbling given his early booking. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. We then got Lexis King versus Lucy and Price, and the first shot of the match was a loud chop from Price to King to cut open the chest of the men's speed champion. A distraction for Connors helped King deliver a strong kick and take over, targeting the left arm of the bigger man. A drive-by set up King attempt for a coronation, but Price fought it off and hit a single arm powerbomb for a definitive win. Price was the star throughout, dominating King throughout in a fast-paced match. He was finding the camera throughout more confidently than NXT, was catching his work, laying down some great dynamic beats that sold his power. Still, at the end of the day, this was just a squash match that disguised as something more. Is it a good win for Price, but is it really going anywhere? That kind of remains to be seen. So yeah, 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to the number 1 contenders match for the NXT Championship, Grayson Waller versus Cruz Montana. Montana pushed Waller early with hard-hitting offense while playing a welcoming crowd. Waller tried to take a break on the outside, but Montana dived onto Waller, knocking them both out into the announce table just before the final pit break. Right back from the break, Montana caught Waller with a suplex. The former 2-time TNA World Champion hit outlined in a chalk, followed by a Death Valley driver for a near fall. Waller ducked outside to avoid spin the block and returned in the ring with a running flatliner for a near fall. Waller got another near fall after a vicious stomp on the back of the head of Montana. Waller went for the rolling stunner, but Montana reversed into spin the block before Montana could get to the pin, though Zilla Fatu laid out Santana with a Samoan drop, followed by a Samoan splash to Waller. An anticlimactic end to a great match spoiled the work that these two had done to sell this contest. After months of reshuffling the top team in NXT, the picture looked clear. Rook and Narako, then Montana and Waller stepped up. However, apparently Robertson had once again delivered a blockbuster sign that ruined his main event. While Fatu has a name and a bloodline connection, his credibility is still not established. There was no reason to immediately shoot him up. In particular, there was no reason NXT could not definitively establish the next man up, D'Angelo, between Montana and Waller. Instead, NXT wasted time like this, setting up a multi-man match for D'Angelo at Heatwave that won't get over anyone. This is just NXT placing hats on hats to keep getting people talking rather than developing any meaningful storylines. So yeah, for that alone, I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10. Overall, NXT this week gets a 4 out of 10 from me. Chaos reigned on this week's show, and it did in a match that promised more than it delivered. Key matches ended in controversy with plenty of awkward backstage segments where Robert Stone continues to make weird choices. It's a goal to create a consistent project. That was not the night for NXT, as it felt like the brand was moving in multiple directions with each segment. However, if the goal was to create conversation, this is certainly a memorable night. Memorable though doesn't mean good. Perhaps the arrival of Zilla Fatu and a choice to invalidate the number 1 contenders main event will lead to a better championship match at Heatwave. For now though, it just seems like it's delivering incomplete results on each episode. So yeah, that is a bit of a shame.
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.